Who's the person you met that you still think about all the time, that you met on the campaign?
There is one gentleman named Earl Smith who I think about every single day. And we met him in Texas, and that was at a point in the campaign where it was like, okay, enough is enough. It was a tough primary. The president was just finishing up a debate, and he had a cold, and it was like 7:30 in the morning, and he was grumpy. He's not really a morning person. It's not a secret. He's really not a morning person. And we get in the elevator, and there was an older gentleman in the elevator who'd been operating our elevator during the 3 days that we were there. And he clears his throat, and I thought, oh, don't start a conversation now. It's probably not the best time. And he says to the president, I want to give you something. And so we all kind of looked to see what, and it was a patch from his military uniform. And so then Senator Obama realizes what it is, and he says, oh, I couldn't possibly accept that. And they go back and forth and back and forth. And then finally, Mr. Smith says, sir, I have carried this patch with me every day for 40 years. It has kept me strong, it has kept me safe, and you have a long journey ahead, and I want you to have it. And I burst into tears. I mean, like, uncontrollably. And it was one of the first times where I saw somebody just give a stranger something in the hopes that it would give him some strength. And later in the day, I asked the then senator, what did you do with that patch? And he said, I put it in my pocket. And I thought, you know, typical guy. I didn't mean, where did you put it? I mean, how did it make you feel that he gave you this cherished possession? You know what I'm talking about, fellas. And so he says to me, as he is wont to say, Valerie, I mean, I put it in my pocket. So he pulls out all of these trinkets and he lays them on the table. And he proceeds to tell me this story about every trinket and why it's so special and why he keeps it in his pocket. And to this day, his pocket is full of those trinkets. And so on my long answer to your question, I made up my mind that Earl is who we are fighting for. And every day as I come through the gates of the White House, every single day since the first day, I pause and I think about Earl. And our country is full of people just like Earl. And unfortunately, one of my frustrations, which is why I said I didn't really like the fixture, is that we don't see enough of that. We don't see enough of that in the media. We certainly don't see enough of that reflected in what happens in Congress. And Earl is what we should all be thinking about every single day.
The President and First Lady, well, I love them both dearly. They are the brother and sister that I never had. I consider them family. And that's pretty special. When I met President Obama in the summer of 1991, I was the Deputy Chief of Staff for Mayor Daley in Chicago, and he was just fresh out of law school, engaged to the First Lady, and our worlds collided when he asked would I be willing to have dinner with him, and dinner we had, and the rest is history. So I decided to create a wall of happy memories that I've had along the way, and that's what this reflects. It tells a story of my time here. So, for example, this is an iconic photo during the transition. President Bush hosted the former presidents with President-elect Obama, and then a few weeks later, the president was signing these photos. And I said, my gosh, that's a really cool photo. Who are they for? And he said, I have no idea. And it was a big stack of them. I said, well, could I have one? He said, I don't know, I guess so. And so I took it. And this is my mom's birthday. And judging from the president's hair, I'd say that's probably in the summer of 2009. And then this is my favorite photo with the president. And we were in New York waiting for someone to finish introducing him. And they kept talking and talking and talking. And finally he said, I guess they're going to give a whole speech, so we better just sit down. So that's a snapshot of some of the office. We're here this evening commemorating the 4th anniversary of the devastating tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School. It's a tough evening, but it is also unifying, and it just reminds people they're not alone.
Now I'd like to welcome Valerie Jarrett.
I know it can feel at times as though the path towards progress seems increasingly daunting. But please know that you are surrounded by people who are dedicated to ending this epidemic. And I think a way of demonstrating
that you're not alone is to turn to your neighbor. Give them a hug. Tell them they're not alone. Show each other a little bit of love.